capitalism demands profit over people. If people are going to be in danger, but you make more money, guess who's going to get sacrificed? Not the money. You see what I'm saying? So that's why these things need regulation. And all I've seen from conservatives is to cut taxes for the upper class and deregulate things. How does that help people like myself? We're going to go ahead and bring someone else up because we do want to go ahead and get some debate going. Osco Dash, you there?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
I'm Osco. Any political affiliation, left, right, center?
I am, in a normal world, I'd be center, but I'm more or less right.
You're more or less right. Okay, cool. Do you think I should vote for Trump?
Yes, I do.
Why so?
I think Trump well, it's more than just Trump right now. I think the Republican policies in general are better suited for all Americans. And yeah, sorry, were you going to? Yeah,
I'm sorry, I interrupted. I was gonna say such as what, but you're already gonna explain. So
Yeah.
Which ones?
So I think from foreign policy to the economic policy to secure border policy, I think it's better suited. And unfortunately, I think the Democrat Party has weaponized a lot of belief systems. And sometimes people would think, oh, I'm going to vote Democrat because they're not the racist party, let's just say. And I find that first aberrant, and I don't find it true. And I think for everyone, black, white, brown, yellow, red, blue, green, a vote for Trump is better off. And just a vote for conservative is better off.
Okay. The reason why I don't believe that, and I viewed give me 1 second. All right, Tommy, I do see you in the guest box. I'm gonna bring you up right after I talk to Osco. Okay, so the reason why I don't think conservative policy is better for Americans is because like it from what I've seen from conservative economic policy, it's just more trickle down nonsense that we saw from Reagan, and that honestly doesn't work. The only thing that I've seen from them as well is basically deregulation of businesses and markets. Now, are there some regulations that are redundant and probably shouldn't be there? Yeah, sure, and we should take a look at that. But from what I've seen from them, they just want to deregulate everything. And once we get to that, we get to people like we see in Boeing. You know what's going on over in Boeing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's going on over in Boeing has a lot to do with bribery and regulation. You feel what I'm saying? Like once you let go of a lot of this regulation stuff, capitalism demands profit over people. If people are going to be in danger, but you make more money, guess who's going to get sacrificed? Not the money. You see what I'm saying? So that's why these things need regulation. And all I've seen from conservatives is to cut taxes for the upper class and deregulate things. How does that help people like myself?
Well, I mean, one at a time. So the taxes, I think Republicans in general are lower taxes across the board. If we pulled up the taxes prior to Trump's tax cuts and we pulled up the tax brackets after Trump's tax cuts, you'll see at any salary, at any income bracket, you are better off. Sure, you'll see that wealthy people had lower taxes, but you'll also see that, let's just say someone who's making, I don't know, 50,000, someone making 100,000, those are also lower. And those are lower across the board, which means more money in your pocket, more money to do what you want to live. And also, one of the benefits of lower taxes that doesn't really get talked about, and I think that's what you were saying with trickle down, when you have lower taxes and you have more money, there's more growth in the economy, which actually somewhat leads to a higher tax revenue anyway. So you'll see Barack Obama actually said, I can't remember quote for quote what he said, but he said, someone asked him, would you be fine with raising the tax bracket even if the tax revenue that comes into our country is less? And he said yes, as a matter of fairness. And that's just destructive to the economy because of that. And the reason behind that, and then I'll let you talk again, sorry, is that if you raise taxes a lot, the economy grows less, which means less income, which means lower tax revenue. So that's why I believe capitalism is the best. Obviously, there needs to be some regulation for sure, but a free economy is a good economy, and that's the success of America, really.
Okay. I mean, the thing is that when we take a look at, by the way, I do see everybody in the guest box. I do see y'all. Just give me a second. Let me talk to Osco first, and I'll bring you up. If you wanted to address Osco, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll bring you up. So when it comes to like the entire thing with taxes, if you look at our taxes are actually higher, because even if he were to lower some taxes like income, other taxes like that we get credit for, like the child tax credit, those were lowered. You know what I'm saying? So which makes our effective tax rate higher, but not higher for the people in the upper class. When it comes to, you know, raising taxes, we actually do get more tax revenue from raising taxes, because like that's more taxes coming in. Now, we saw this back before Reagan was president, and he slashed taxes. We were still getting the same tax revenue, perhaps even more. What I've seen from what we've seen from the Reaganomics tax code is that these upper class, or these the corporations, they don't actually reinvest any of this money. They just keep it, basically. They just keep all the money that they're not paying in taxes, invest overseas, and shut down businesses and send them overseas anyway. It's not because we raise taxes that they're going to it's not because we cut their tax that they keep jobs here in America. They ship them over anyway. You see yeah, you see what I mean? So it's like cutting taxes for them really doesn't do anything. It just gives them more money in their pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I would respectfully disagree. Just because if you look, I mean, there's industries on this where rich people, and not just rich people, but people who have liquid money who could give money, will give it to groups. So there is reinvestment, right? That's like the whole venture capital area. That's the whole private equity, more venture capital, but that's even angel investors. There's a lot of people who don't just hold money and put it under their bed. They reinvest, and yeah, sure, they want to profit from it, but it's also the story of growth in America. Without that money that fuels investment, there's less companies, there's less jobs. I mean, that's the story. I mean, like, even I know people hate Amazon now, but Amazon sort of got started. Obviously, Jeff Bezos, brilliant guy, but they got started because a lot of money was given into them. A lot of rich people donated to them. And now Amazon gets us our goods in 2 days. It's also the cheapest products. Like, you go to Dwayne Reed down the store. I'm in New York City. You go to New York City, they're double the price of Amazon, and that all benefits us, and that's fueled by investment. If rich people didn't have money to have invested in Amazon, we wouldn't have Amazon now, which is fueling 100,000 jobs, giving us cheap products, giving us innovation. Without that, we don't have innovation. If we don't have funding, we don't have innovation, and that innovation is not coming from the government.
Here's the thing though, man. Jennifer, I do see you in the I think a lot of people want to actually talk with you, Osco. Just guys, give me a second, all right? If you want to actually like have a discussion with Osco, give me a moment. I'm going to talk to him one last time, and then I'm gonna bring up people one by one. I think Tommy was first. All right, just give me a second,
I'm
Osco.
fine with talking to everyone as long as we could still have the civil discussion. I really appreciate talking to you, host.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. Not a problem. Okay, so here's what I'll say. Like, an economy just can't run off rich people investing. You see what I'm saying? Like, you need people to actually spend. But like the thing that I would say is that even when it comes to things like Amazon was started by seed money from his parents. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't just people investing. I don't think anyone is saying to just take away all the money from rich people, but like rich people should be paying their amount of income taxes as well, because we have people who do hide their money in tax shelters. We do have people who when you slash their taxes, they don't actually reinvest into anything. Venture capitalists already have that money. It's not because they got a tax cut that they're going to reinvest that money. They're just going to reinvest in things that they feel are profitable. You see what I'm saying? And if it's not profitable, they're not going to invest in it. But the second thing I would say was, when it comes to innovation, a lot of the things that we use today came from government investment and that invested into these innovations. For example, what we're doing now, talking on the internet. The entire internet was started from that way. Microchips, GPS. The way that we talk right now is through the internet, GPS, and microchips. All that was invested and innovated by, government investment and government workers. You see what I'm saying? So is like, when it comes to things like capitalism can work, in my opinion, only when it's heavily regulated, which is why I'm more of a social democrat. I'm not a complete communist, because I don't think that's going to work for our society yet. But I do believe that we need to get to a point where we go from, the private actors running the entire economy towards the workers running the economy, because right now it's not like that. That makes sense to you?
I think part of it makes sense. I think like one, I mean, if you even look at the VC world, 1 out of 20 innovations, 1 out of 20 companies tend to be successful. Like I think the business model, I have a friend who works in VC. It's like 3 of 20 investments they really plan on panning out. They hope one's like obviously a lottery ticket, but there's a lot of failures in that too. And that's also the story of America, right? A lot of failed startups, a lot of companies that go under. And yeah, sometimes it's sort of that survival of the fittest, but then you have great things that come out of it.
I got you.
I would say I would yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
My bad, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Tommy, I think you wanted to come up and speak to Osco a little bit. I did mute you because your background was kind of loud, but I'll unmute you now. Or I sent you a request to unmute. So go ahead, Tommy. What you want to say? Oh dang, is he still there? Can you still hear me?
You have to unmute Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy, I sent you an invitation to unmute. Are you still there?
Yo, that's hilarious, man. Sorry. As soon as I got on, my fire alarm went off.
Not a problem. But yeah, what did you want to say?
Okay,
I'm sorry.
sorry about that.
Not a problem. Go ahead, Tommy.
Okay, so what I was saying, like, can this guy name one policy besides? We have an economic policy.
Oh, Tommy, can you repeat that one more time because you blinked out for a second?
Okay, all. Am I? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, so like this guy's just saying, "Oh, we have an economic policy." Man, I think I'm off. Fuck, he running.
Crap. Well, he had to go ahead and drop. I'm gonna bring up Jennifer, because there were a few people who I could see that were kind of disagreeing with you in the comments. I'm gonna bring them up just to speak to you for a few moments, and then we'll go ahead and move on. Jennifer, you there?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
I'm all right. Did you want to address me or Osco?
If I can talk to Osco, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. We got 10 minutes. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and go at it.
Okay. And Osco, I appreciate the civil debate. I actually really enjoy coming on these lives where people do like listen and want to clear up misinformation because that's how everybody is going to progress, you know? But I wanted to mention just a couple things as a tax accountant. I think when Kamala is talking about like a rich tax, right, where they pay a minimum tax, I do hear a lot of people say, oh, well, when they get a tax cut under Trump, then that'll trickle down to the consumers. But here's the thing with the rich, in order for them to avoid taxes, they use unrealized capital gains, meaning they do a 1231 exchange where they just exchange investment property for another investment property. That's how they avoid the tax. But in order to do that, they can't take any money out of that investment. So they can't invest that money into anywhere else because then it would be considered a realized gain and they would pay tax. So that's why the majority of the rich are paying nothing because they're doing 1231 exchanges and just basically trading one investment property for another so that they don't have to pay any tax. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up because I don't think a lot of people understand that.
And quick question with that quickly, because just so I'm aware of exactly what you're saying. 1231 is strictly real estate, right?
No, any investment. So it can be a business, if they sell a business for another, if they have an Airbnb and they buy another type of business, real estate ventures, basically any kind of investment income that they have, they can sell that asset and buy another investment property or another investment business and not realize any of those gains so they don't pay any tax and they just continue doing those 1231 exchanges so that they don't ever realize gain so they don't ever have to pay tax, right? But in order to do that, they can't take any money out because if they take money out for themselves, then it's not considered a 1231 exchange. So if they're not taking money out, they're not putting that money anywhere else because it can't ever touch their hands, right?
Yeah, that was complicated for me to follow as well, but I think I got most of it.
That's
I
why
do
I was
appreciate you explaining that, Jennifer. I appreciate you. Oscar,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and that's what I was looking at, because I thought 1231 is strictly for real estate, which does affect everyone, right? And everyone has that benefit where if they sell a house, like if you own a house right now and it's worth, you bought it for 200,000, it's now 800,000. If you sold that, you technically have to pay 600,000 in taxes, right? As sort of capital gains tax. However, with all of real estate, including anyone, right, low income, mid income, they're able to put that into another real estate. With what you're saying, I think like with, like, for example, stocks, that does not exist in stocks, this unrealized gain transferring. It doesn't happen in stock. This is strictly for real estate. And you may have a critique with the 1231. I think this benefits everyone. Obviously, it benefits real estate moguls who really have perfected this. If you're interested in getting rid of 1231, that's maybe a discussion, but that's on the real estate side, which I get it has pros and cons, but it helps people upgrade their houses and upgrade in real estate. But obviously, yeah, real estate moguls have taken advantage of it, let's just say.
Okay, but let's just clear up that the everyday person who just owns a home can't take advantage of the 1231 because your personal residence is excluded. We're talking only investment property, only real estate that you're renting out to somebody, only businesses that you're making income on. If I own my own home, I can't just say I'm going to sell it for another home and do a 1231. That's not how that works. So people who just own a home that they live in, they don't get the benefit of the 1231. There is an exclusion from the capital gain if they do, like, if the house sells for more that anybody can take advantage of, but that's just because you own a home and you live there, you can't turn around and do a 1231 on your own personal residence. So I think
Or maybe it's not, again, real estate law, little outside of my purview, but are you making the claim that someone, let's just go back to that claim that I said, someone bought a house in 1990 for 200,000, it's now $1 million, okay? There was 30 years of unrealized gains, obviously, as the house appreciated, where there's no taxes in capital gains paid. Obviously, there's property taxes, but that's outside of this discussion. So of that 800,000 increase from 1990 to now 2024, and they sold the house and they were thinking of moving, instead of, let's just say, from New York down to Florida, it's a very common trek for some people. Are you saying that they would be paying 800 taxes on that 800,000 via capital gains?
no. So if they're single, they wouldn't have to pay tax on the first $250,000 gain, but they would have to pay tax on the remaining $550,000 gain, regardless of if they want to buy another house or they just are going to rent or they're just going to sell around the world. It doesn't matter. And there's no 1231 exchange though, and they can only use that $250,000 exclusion like once every 5 years, as opposed to businesses who can literally sell their businesses every single year for a higher markup and not pay any tax. So that same businessman who bought a business in 1993 for $100,000 could now own assets of $3 billion and could never have paid a penny in tax if they did a 1231 every year in their businesses.
So what Kamala is trying to do is to simply like stop them, not really stop them, but tax them on that gain because for them not to take advantage of that system anymore. Is that right?
Exactly. To say, hey, you have to pay a minimum tax just like the everyday consumer, because the everyday consumer is paying sales tax, real estate taxes, property taxes, income taxes, state income taxes. So Kamala is saying, hey, let's make the rich pay their fair share, just like the everyday consumer, so that we have more money going into the economy instead of them just pushing their gain until they retire, right? So I just wanted to kind of clear that up as a tax account. And another thing, as far as like on the consumer level, I know a lot of people were talking about, like, when Trump got in, he did the tax reform, a lot of people saw a lot of money. Trump's tax policy really you didn't feel the brunt of it until after COVID, because during COVID they were putting out stimulus, right? So a lot of people equate their tax refunds to the money they got from the stimulus package for a couple of years, which was a significant amount with the economic impact payments, the increased child care, the increased child tax credit. That was all things that had to do with stimulus, not Trump. Now, his actual tax plan, we really started feeling the brunt of when Biden got into office, but that was still under Trump. So, and I will say too, Trump made the claim, oh, everybody will see more money, right? So whenever Trump got into office, everybody started getting bigger paychecks. But what he did was reduce the tax withholding from people's paychecks. So they did get bigger paychecks, but then at tax time, we saw an influx and people not filing, because then when it came down to pay their taxes, they owed. More people than ever owed, because he said you're going to get bigger paychecks, and people did, because the IRS stopped withholding as much. But then at tax time, they all owed. So you saw an influx of people who just stopped filing because for the first time in ever, they owed the IRS and they couldn't pay them, right? So it's both on a tax level, and we don't just have to talk about taxes, because I wanted to go back to one other point that you made. But like I said, I just wanted to kind of clear that up so that people understand what she is proposing to say, hey, let's make them kind of pay tax as they go instead of pushing that tax liability down 30, 40, 50 years and then finding a way to get out of taxes at that point. And if I was rich, I'm not even gonna lie, I would do that too. I would take advantage of every single tax benefit I had, as I do now. But a lot of those tax benefits aren't available to me as the everyday consumer, where if I was a big corporation, it would be available to me. And so I believe in everybody paying their fair share. Like I'm
And quick, again, I'll do more research on the 1231 because, again, no expert on some of these tax laws. Wish I was. Maybe I'd be a billionaire then. Uh, but when did the 1231 come into effect?
honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't wanna give any.
Got it. No worries. And I'm assuming before Biden and before Obama.
Likely
Yeah.
before them, yeah, because this has been going on for years. But
Yeah.
Oscar, I do wanted to ask you a question because someone did ask in the comments. Besides the Trump's tax policy, you did bring up. I think you brought up his foreign my bad, foreign policy. Is that what you brought up? You said also his foreign policy would be better for Americans. But what about his foreign policy do you think will be? Because I haven't seen much of his foreign policy that would be better for us. Which one do you think would be?
Yeah, I mean, I think again we see what happened over the 4 years with Trump, right? And I think like JD Vance, and I know people don't like him, but he summarized it well, where he said the foreign policy should be strengthened through deterrence, and that's sort of what happened under Donald Trump, right? We didn't see these excursions, these entries into new wars, these invasions of land, this violence, and I don't know what the correct word for TikToks, I won't say it, but this violence around the globe. And on the other hand, we saw peace deals arise that nobody ever thought was possible, right? Like there was the Bahrain, UAE, Israel deal. There was other deals, and obviously then there was tough stuff like some of the tariffs on these aggressive countries. But all that to say is there's got to be a level of toughness that America has to show. I mean, it is unfortunate, but America can't just be in isolation. That's what I think people on Democrat and Republican side do say, but I don't think Trump fully says that. He says you got to be there, but you don't want boots on the ground because you don't want to send our sons and daughters into harm's way.
Mhm.
But all that to say is, we see under Biden, we see this Russia-Ukraine going on. We see this Iran-Israel conflict going on, and this stuff was silent. We had virtual peace in a way. Obviously, there's always chaos in the world, but virtual peace during his 4 years. Well, now it's crazy, and Americans get affected. I mean, there was a few Americans unalived in Israel, and so forth. So, and in Ukraine as well. So, all that to say is, there's strength through leadership, and I don't think we've seen it under Biden. And in my mind, and people may disagree, and that's fine, I don't see Kamala Harris changing that much from what Biden's done.
I mean, okay. Let me just say one last thing. Jennifer, did you was that it for you? Did you want to stay up? Because I do have someone else that wants to come up.
I'll let I know Meeks wants up and a few other people, so I appreciate the time. And Oscar, I'm gonna continue listening. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Jennifer. You taught me a lot about taxes that I didn't even know about. I do appreciate you. I'll drop you a follow. Okay, appreciate you. All right, Meeks, I know you wanted to come up, but I didn't want to jump Oscar. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you up, but let's try to not to jump him because I'm pretty sure he has other things to do. But Oscar, when it comes to everything that we're seeing around the world, I think you're forgetting a few things. First of all, Trump did provide weapons and money to the Saudis, and I'm not sure if you know what the Saudis are doing in Afghanistan. Not Afghanistan, in Yemen right now. The Saudis are basically committing a genocide in Yemen, similar to what we're seeing with Israel and the Gaza Strip. Now, I know that's a contentious subject, so I don't want to bring that up and have us argue that for an hour. But as far as everything that we're seeing around the world, Russia actually invaded Ukraine back in I think 2016 or 2018, because of those areas, the Donbass area. And they annexed Ukraine, I think even before that. So craziness was already happening around the world when Trump was in office. There was a lot happening in France. I think the French protests happened under Trump. Like there was a lot. You know, I mean, I think Syria, Meeks mentioned Syria as well. There was a lot happening under him. I think it's just under Trump, there's a lot of, like a lot of noise happens that makes us ignore the rest of the world. But Meeks, I do know you have a little bit more, but again, we'll give this one like about 10 more minutes because Oscar probably has something else to do. But go ahead, Meeks, go ahead. What you was gonna say?
That's fair. Thank you so much for letting me come aboard. I know I was in the comments freaking out off what was being said, and I disagree with you 100%. I'm going to keep this just as calm, cool, collective as this life has obviously already has been. But I'm going to call you out and call you out on BS for what you said.
What, me or?
No. Your guest.
Oscar. I'm sorry. Is it Oscar or Oscar? Can you correct me?
Oscar.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more time.
You can say it every way. Oscar or Oscar.
Oscar or Oscar. Okay. But yeah, Meeks, you said that Oscar said something that was incorrect, or in your words, BS. What was it?
Absolutely. When you speak about the no wars, because I hear this all the time. Do you not know what happened with Syria? Do you not know what happened with Afghanistan and the Taliban between Trump and what deal he made for 2021, May 21st of 2021, by the way, because he thought he was going to win the election. Do you know what that consisted of?
I forgot all about that.
Oh, you forgot.
Yeah.
How convenient. You forgot.
Oh no, that was me. That was me that said that, not Oscar. That was me that said that. I forgot all about that.
My bad. Okay, my bad.
All good. Oscar, go ahead.
Do you know what?
I almost want to say I forgot just to get that reaction again, Meeks.
I'm
yeah, I mean,
sorry, and I'm not coming at you on no ill will, but please let's not do no disinformation on here. Because we know a lot of people get their information news-wise on here. We know that, especially the new generation. I'm a millennial, older millennial, by the way. Okay, so when you say these things, I just kind of wanted to know exactly what were your thought process.
Well, first one, if anyone's really coming to me or you, no offense, looking for complete news and reliability, I would say do a little more research.
But we already know that's not a thing, so let's not talk about that. Let's talk about actually providing actual accurate information.
So if we want to talk about Afghanistan, right, or Afghanistan or Syria, which one? You want to do Afghanistan?
You want to go? Well, here, hold on. Let me. I heard you speak a lot, so let me go ahead and speak for. Let me just go in my thoughts.
Can I interrupt you for just 1 second, Meeks? I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay, Surush, I do see you in the box. I'm gonna bring you up right after Meeks and Osko finish. Give them about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Go ahead, Meeks.
When you bring up the whole no new wars and things of that nature, you realize we were already into that from 100%. You also do you understand that when it came to Afghanistan and the pullout with Afghanistan, I understand and because I keep hearing this so much that it's been on Biden, he's the blame, and it was such a bad pullout and it was horrible, things of that nature. But do you know why that happened? Do you know how that came about?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, so this is what happened with Afghanistan. And sure, if you want to correct me here and there, sure. But Afghanistan, obviously, it's been a 20-year war, right? Or 20-year, but very, 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 very siloed into that region, right? There was the Afghani government, which was supported by the U.S., and then there was sort of the Taliban militia groups on the outskirts of Afghanistan, but still have a foothold. To your point.
My point is.
To your point, to your point, Taliban should have probably been removed fully before anything else. However, Trump didn't want to escalate anything, right? So Trump wanted to get.
You did your research real quick, so I'm going to tell you real quick. Hold on for a hot second. I get what you're trying to go through, but you're not going to take this shine from me. Trump literally did an agreement with the Taliban. And if you were a part of 9/11, like I was when I was 17 years old and I witnessed a catastrophe in our country, you would know that when Bush was president, he made it a point of we do not negotiate with terrorists, right? Right? Okay, so then why did Trump do the opposite? And he did that with the Taliban. He made an agreement with them to make sure, or he thought to make sure that he would have all our troops out of Afghanistan with the Taliban. Taliban, not even the Afghanistan government that you just spoke about. He made a deal with them that he would have our troops out of there by May 21st of 2021. That was on the premise that he was going to be president, which ended up that not being a thing. And so what ended up happening is when that did come to fruition, whatever you want to say, we also had to deal with January 6th.
Let's stay on one at a time, please. Sorry. Could I respond to your Afghanistan before we go fully outside of Afghanistan?
Yeah. And we have about 5 more minutes, guys. So we'll do this again another time. No problem.
Okay.
No problem. So to wrap up her point, it was just that Trump is the one who set up the entire exit from Afghanistan. He set it up with the Taliban. But go ahead, Oscar. What's your saying?
Okay. So
that was in place at that time.
So first thing, and let me just try to get my full thought out. One, the U.S. definitely, I've always said, don't negotiate with terrorists, and nobody's ever stayed to that. Okay, like I think it's despicable, but this is what life is, and people have to negotiate sometimes, especially if they have hostages. I'm on the field of non-negotiating with terrorists, but it's almost impossible. Unfortunately, people don't hold down to that. However, now back to Afghanistan, strictly Afghanistan. Trump's policy wanted to get American troops, to your point, out of that area, out of that region. He talked to the Taliban people. He actually gave them maybe even more people than I would wanted, like hostages and prisoners, as a result of not invading the Afghani government. That was it. And they were going to pull. And they were going to please. They were going to pull out of Afghanistan and leave a shadow U.S. army there to help strategize with the Afghan army. That was the plan, to have people on the ground or in the back advising, providing surveillance, performing things to assist our Afghani government allies. What ended up happening is, to your point, Trump lost the election. And as a result, instead of that shadow government and instead of any strategic plan, the Biden-Harris administration did a full withdrawal very promptly, leaving American troops, obviously, there, which was not Trump's plan, leaving American weapons, that was not Trump's plan, and throwing the Afghani government out of it. And this is actually very close to me because one of my best friends is Afghani, and I know this is now an anecdote, but he is absurd with this because his mom had to live under like Taliban like rule, and what's happened now is ridiculous. And he hates the Taliban more than he does Afghani individual. And this was not the plan. This is not the plan. And even if it was the plan, which again it wasn't, Biden first had power, and on top of that, Biden did it terribly.
But you're not understanding what I'm talking about, sir. My main thing is why wouldn't a presidential elect at that point sit up here and bring that as a promise, knowing there could possibly be a situation where he's not president? Because that pushed Biden into a situation where they actually extended that pullout. And that's why we ended up with the Afghanistan pullout that we ended up with. And everybody wants to, blame him for it. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. There's no reason why, first of all, Trump should have even did that. He should have never even had that conversation with the Taliban. He should have had that conversation with the Afghani government from the get-go. That is literally work for years that went down the toilet because of Trump. That's what I'm asking.
All right, guys. I'm so sorry, Meeks. I do understand you guys want to keep going, but we are basically out of time. I do want to invite you both back up on the next time I come up here. Okay, that sound good?
Thanks, Felicity. Respect.
Tomorrow or whenever.
Respect. All right. Yeah, I do these usually Sunday, Mondays, and Tuesdays. So I think I'm gonna do this tomorrow night as well. Okay.
I'm just saying he's wrong and I'm right, man.
You guys are funny.
Politics.
You guys are funny. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and jump you both now, but I do appreciate you guys both being up here. All right. Respect. All right, y'all. I've been up here for about an hour.